Catholics in Southern California are reacting to the death of Pope Francis. For more on the legacy of Pope Francis and how it affects millions of Southern California Catholics.
We're going to talk more with Gustavo Arellano. We thank you for being with us. Your reaction to the death of Pope Francis.
I'm Catholic, so we are in mourning. Que descansen en paz, Papa Francisco. A titan, really someone who called in an age where there's so much egoism, so much me, so much we have to only care about the best in the world. He really preached the gospel of Jesus, which, remember, he says, whatever you do to the least among us, you're doing to me. So Pope Francis was always a reminder we can always do better for ourselves, but especially for other people, and it's for all of us in society.
So the Pope had sort of rewritten the rituals for a funeral for him and for future popes, and it's scaled way down. And then his burial wishes, too, he asked for just a sign on the tomb which read Francis, essentially. Is that correct? Yeah,
Catholicism has always been both lionized and also criticized for its pomp and circumstance. When you go to the big cathedrals of the world, especially the old ones, you're supposed to be in awe of everything that's around you. But Francis was from the very beginning, he told his priests, I want you, all of you, to have, this is the Vatican's words, not mine, the stench of the sheep on you. In other words, I want you to be among your people. I do not want you to focus on being a priest for the sake of being a priest, being a bishop for the sake of being a bishop. I want you to be as helpful as possible. In many ways, he democratized the church in that way, in that sense, the Catholic Church, by reminding people, us priests, us bishops, even the Pope, we are human. And that flies, of course, in the face of what so many people think about Catholicism, about the princes of the church. That's what you call the cardinals, about the Pope, who literally sits on a throne. Even at the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels, there is the throne where Archbishop Gomez and before him Mahoney were able to sit in their ecclesiastical authority. And Pope Francis was saying, no, it's about helping others. It's not about power.
Well, you've written many articles on everything about Southern California, including an article that goes back a few years about Archbishop Gomez, who was not selected as a cardinal by Francis. We know the cardinals will select the next pope. Thoughts on all of that?
Wow, you're reading my next columna before I even write it. So kudos on your prognostication abilities. No, with Archbishop Gomez, it's interesting. Without revealing about what I'm going to read, this is Los Angeles. This is one of our the prominent ones in the world. Before him, Cardinal Mahoney, of course, a huge name on immigrants' rights, and then later on, Gomez, is this a man? He's what? He was appointed in 2008, so 13 years in. He's nearing retirement age. Is he a man who met the moment in Los Angeles? He has been pretty much of immigrant rights, but on the other hand, for the couple of years, been fighting what he says is woke culture. And is that what we really need from Los Angeles? I do not agree with that, but that's my opinion.
Are we going to shift? We're going to shift right now, Gustavo. You were in Little Saigon recently. The tariffs, these Trump's tariffs, will greatly affect that area and the people there. Can you weigh in on that?
Yeah, really quickly, in Little Saigon, Vietnam was supposed to get a tariff of 46% until President had a wide tariffs. Those are 90 days. And so because in Little Saigon, the largest enclave of Vietnamese in the world outside of Vietnam's, that would hurt a lot of businesses, a lot of people. But a lot of times when to immigrants, it's not just a matter of dollars and cents when it comes to these tariffs. And in Little Saigon, there's still a lot of of Vietnam that drove so many people away, that took over South Vietnam and still suppresses so many people. So a lot of the folks that I talked to, and I wasn't surprised, but it's still always interesting to hear. Mostly people 50 and older, they said, yeah, we're all for the tariffs. Yes, we're going to hurt a little bit, but if that means a communist government gets basically a financial spanking, then that's what we need. On the other hand, you have young as something that has helped democratize Vietnam and especially has helped Little Saigon become an economic powerhouse. And they're the ones who are worried. They're like, yeah, we're of course not for the Vietnamese government, but 46% tariffs, that's going to triple prices. That's going to affect so many people. And that's also going to affect our cousins back in Vietnam who maybe factories are going to shut down. We don't know. But again, and ultimately, what people are saying, we don't know, because right now it's a 10% tariff worldwide, of course, except against China. But after that, I mean, the Vietnamese government is already negotiating with the Trump administration. So we'll see what's going to happen. But as always, politics in refugee communities, always interesting.
And complex, yeah.
Interesting take there on one community. All right, let's talk about where people can see you, which is at the LA Times Festival of Books. It's this weekend. What a wonderful event. And you're going to be there on the panels, right? We're looking right now at the schedule. April 26th to the 27th at the USA campus, free general admission. Talk about what you're excited about.
Oh my God, it's one of the great events in Southern California where all thoughts are welcome. Books galore for kids, for adults in multiple languages. I'm going to be on 3 panels. I'm going to moderate a panel on Latino politics. That's going to be in the Delo stage on Sunday. Wait, is that one Sunday? There's so much. I'm also going to moderate another panel on activism. Activism right now is so huge, so many protests going on. And then the very last panel on Sunday, I'm part of the last group. It's called Ask a Reporter, where myself and my colleagues, Rachel Uranga and Brittany Mejia, we're going to talk about covering immigration, because there's no controversy to that, right?
You're going to avoid the controversy on this one. Very good. All right, so it is the Festival of Books, the LA Times Festival of Books this weekend. So, and here's the most important part. Free general admission. Thank you so much, Gustavo. Thank you for joining us.
Gracias. Everyone read books and LA Times.
Will do.
Por favor.